Those Days with the Monsters, Part 7. Kirrel found himself sitting down abruptly. Whether he'd chosen to because he was light-headed, or whether he'd fallen, he wasn't quite sure. He'd tried to keep his feet and tail out of the green fluid, but it wasn't an easy task. The stuff was everywhere.
Not sure there's much difference between letting Grumpy poke at the ship and slagging it, but whatever.
Doc had collected some of the Tzyx blood into some vials. He looked wry.
I'd love to sweep it for pathogens. Who knows how contaminated this blood is. I'd like to try and sample some bugs off their ship before everyone tries to troop in and contaminate the place, just so I know what's ours and what's theirs, you know?
Fair enough.
Bashful. Any echo reads off the inside?
The hologram turned to face the captain at the question. It was more slender than the rest of the crew, and had two little sacks hanging from the front of it.
Looks like it was mostly the strike group and a skeleton crew.
The little hologram bared its teeth in what looked like happiness. Its voice was much higher than most of the crew's.
I could pop 'em with the L-Rad and clear the ship for y'all if you like.
It had a very strong sort of slowness to its voice. Kirrel found the sound soothing, or at least as soothing as it could be from a Cuman after what he'd just seen. He found out later that the slow speech was called a drawl.
Please?
Dopey asked, looking up with a grin.
Oh, anything for you, hon.
The hologram covered its mouth with one hand with a smacking sound and made a blowing motion. Dopey flushed bright red, and the hologram made the Cuman amusement noise. Abruptly, the Tzyx ship began to shake.
Sorry, babe. I think they self-destructed the damn thing. I can take a gun or two if I move fast.
Could you? The captain asked.
Hey now, I was talking to my babe. You don't get to reply to that, Cap.
The captain sighed.
As your captain, Bashful, get one big and one small gun, if you can. Fine, yes sir, Captain sir,
the little hologram muttered. A little flash of light sparked on the Tzyx ship, and one of their guns began to float loose.
There's your big gun, Cap. The little one might take a bit longer. Hard to pinpoint the little ones. I can find it.
Dopey was still clicking away on those tiny buttons.
30 seconds. We don't have 30 seconds, honey.
The hologram drawled.
Maybe 10.
Then guess and fire. The captain's eyes narrowed. Follow with the L-Rad. Nobody gets off that ship alive.
Yes, sir.
Bashful stood still for a moment, and a tiny flash of light appeared on the Tzyx ship. The lights on the bridge flickered as the entire Cuman ship hummed, and then, for a breathless second, silence. Then the Tzyx warp drive detonated, engulfing the entire ship in a ball of blue plasma. The filters on the bridge viewports mostly protected Kirrel's eyes, but he still found himself seeing yellow after images wherever he looked.
Whoo-wee! Maybe we didn't need to worry about the L-Rad on that one.
The captain stared at the slowly expanding cloud of gas and dust that had been the ship.
First time we tried that, Bashful, what's the power drain on it? To successfully transmit L-Rad over the vacuum, the power cost was 329% what we estimated, Captain.
Somehow the hologram seemed pleased? That might not be the right word. Maybe smug was better. The captain winced.
Fine. Next time we'll just shoot them. Seems wise,
Happy commented as he bared his teeth in the Cuman way. Besides, gives me something to do. Can't believe you called me up here and didn't give me any munitions. Had to sit and watch everyone else make fireworks.
Yeah, don't worry, Happy. Your sparklers will get a chance.
Happy looked up, his eyes keen.
You mean, we're gonna John Brown this mess?
The captain looked grim.
Farms. Disgusting bastards.
Doc nodded, though he didn't bare his teeth. Kirrel's translator informed him that the expression was pensive.
Just be careful. We don't want to push this too far. Xenocide is a real risk here.
Doc capped another small vial of Tzyx blood and removed his gloves.
I know, but we can't just let it go.
Kirrel glanced from Cuman to Cuman, trying to follow the conversation.
John Brown? Xenocide? What's going on? We're not dead. What just happened?
He felt himself starting to tremble violently now that the battle was over. The captain sighed. Doc, could you check up on him, make sure he's okay? Doc nodded and approached Kirrel, who pulled away, his frills fully extended and a very dark red. Whoa, hey now, what's the matter?
Please don't. To me. To them.
Kirrel couldn't find the right words to express his fear and shock. Are you planning on eating sapients anytime soon? Doc asked, keeping a few feet of distance from their liaison.
No.
Kirrel couldn't disguise his disgust, even if he was afraid.
Well then, there's nothing to worry about. They attacked us first.
Doc crouched down so he was at eye level with the sitting Kirrel.
The worst we'll do is play Jurassic Park at you again.
No. Sleepy sauntered over, taking a swig out of his little flask in his hand. The worst we could do would play Jurassic Park 3.
I beg to differ. Jurassic Park 3 is nowhere near as bad as Sharknado 2.
That's so bad it's good. You're off your rocker. Sleepy waved Doc away and put his hand behind Kirrel's head, where his first frill connected, gently stroking the area. Kirrel wasn't sure how Sleepy knew that would be soothing, but it was.
Hey, spaceman. You doing okay?
Kirrel swallowed hard, taking a deep breath.
Shaken. Very shaken. Think I'm alive, though.
Good. Sleepy looked around, spotting a crew member looking out the window.
Hey, Smee, you busy?
No.
Good. Could you run down and grab the spaceman some chicken and water? Oh, and taters. Don't want him going into shock or passing out.
Kirrel looked up to get a look at the colour-seeing Smee, but he had already disappeared. With a deep breath, Kirrel turned his attention to the captain. He swallowed hard.
Captain?
Yeah, Squishy? Kirrel blinked. That was unexpected, and it jolted him out of his shock for a moment.
First, I'm not going to be squishy. Second, what just happened?
The captain grinned.
I could see you freaking out. Here's the thing. We knew they weren't friendly when we saw them closing on us in FDL jump.
You can see things in jump?
Well, it's a work in progress. Still picks things up within about half a light year or so that's not bad. If I had to bet, I'd say these guys work by rushing up in jump and then popping out.
Yeah.
Something warm and smooth settled around Kirrel's shoulders, and he felt himself clicking softly, squirming a bit to snuggle into it. Somehow, he was shivering more now that the warm weight was around him.
That's why they're so hard to stop.
Well, we saw him, so that took that out the game. Then, we didn't have the kind of armor to stop a full plasma blast, so what could we do? Well, you said pulse rifles are heavy. The captain lifted a long black pulse rifle as he spoke, brushing a Tzyx hand off it. It fell to the floor with a wet squelch. Kirrel flinched as Doc picked it up and put it into a sterile bag, glaring at the captain for contaminating it. So, I stalled them so the high gravity could do its job.
The high gravity?
Kirrel's eyes widened. They were too worn out to aim right. We had our little knives. Over before it started, really. As soon as they stopped to talk and gloat, the cap had him. Happy had his teeth bared wide, whistling a little melody through them as he clicked at his little buttons. Used most of the bulkheads to slow him down and give the gravity more time, and the last one to pin him in so they couldn't get the distance to fire. Fish in a barrel, that's the cap for you. Kirrel didn't quite follow the last metaphor, but as a piece of avian meat and a warm tuber found their way into his mouth from a concerned Sleepy, he wasn't sure it mattered. At some point, Kirrel recovered enough to discover that there was a heated blanket over his shoulders.
Who put this on?
That was Doc. Sleepy's the one that did the head pats.
Head pats?
Kirrel wasn't sure if he should be thankful or offended.
Well, you know, it calmed my bearded dragon when I was a kid, so figured it might help.
Sleepy had a funny look on his face. Embarrassment. Kirrel decided not to mention the head pats for now, but he was definitely going to ask Sleepy what a bearded dragon was later. The captain glanced over as if checking Kirrel's condition. The floor was mostly cleaned by now, and Kirrel felt much better. With a satisfied nod, the captain turned back to the viewports.
Any bounties on these Tzyx?
Almost everyone in the galaxy has one, so...
Kirrel shrugged, taking a drink of water. It tingled in his mouth, and he looked up at Sleepy sharply. Sleepy closed one eye with a tiny curve of his mouth. conspiracy. Kirrel's frills turned a happy white, and he took another drink, feeling the tiny amount of burning stuff sliding down his throat. Whatever else happened, one particular cumin was definitely a good one.